Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not, they spin not. And yet I say unto you that Solomon in all his glory was not a grass which is today in the field and tomorrow is cast into the oven. How much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith? And seek not ye what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind. For all these things do the nations of the world seek after, and your Father knoweth that ye have need of these things. But rather seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. But rather, seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell that ye have, and give alms. Provide yourselves bags which wax not old, a treasure in the heavens that faileth not, where no thief approacheth, neither moth corrupteth. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. For it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom.
The heaven, even the heavens, are the Lord's, Yahweh Shem Shai's, but the earth has given to the children of men. Right, and what is it for? To dwell in. Now, Yahweh Shai said that place up there in the heavens in the Father's house that He has prepared for us. And then Scripture speak about the Lord spread out the heavens to be inhabited. So it's going to be something, man. It's going to be something. And even in that, we still can't fathom what it's going to be like. Because the earth is huge, but the earth is only going to be able to accommodate so many Israelites. Remember, it says a little one shall become 1,000 and a small one a strong nation. So Israelites are going to multiply. Remember, just in the land of Egypt, it said the more hell they put on Jacob, the more they multiply. Isaiah 54:1, sing, O barren, thou that didst not bear, break forth with the singing and cry aloud, thou that didst not travail with child. For more are the children of the desolate than the children of the married wife, saith the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai. This goes back to Sarah and Hagar. Remember, Sarah was barren, Hagar got pregnant. But the one that was barren, she has more children than the one that had children, but she had Ishmael. The Lord blessed Ishmael, gave him 12 princes, and you see that Ishmael is blessed. They have a blessed land. You know, they are blessed people. They got a lot. But the Israelites, on the other hand, are going to be far greater. And they're going to be so many that it says, enlarge the place of thy tent, meaning where you live, enlarge that. Make it bigger, stretch it out, and let them stretch forth the curtains of thy habitations. So where's that going to happen? That's going to go further than the planet Earth. It's going to go out there to different planets. Spare not, lengthen thy cords, and strengthen thy stakes. Why? Because the Israelites are going to be so many. For thou shalt break forth on the right hand and on the left, and thy seed shall inherit the Gentiles, the actual nations, because they will be our slaves.
My slaves, my Edomites, welcome to hell, welcome to the kingdom.
And that's the true meaning of being blessed, to have slaves. Slaves bowing down to you, coming to you at your beck and call, and make the desolate cities to be inhabited. Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed, neither be thou confounded. For thou shalt not be put to shame, for thou shalt forget the shame of thy youth, meaning everything that we've suffered it's going to be forgotten. The Lord said he's going to wipe away all tears from our eyes. It says, and shall not remember the reproach of thy widowhood anymore. For thy maker is thine husband, the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai of hosts is his name, and thy redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, the power of the whole earth shall he be called.
The Lord promised better things for us, okay? Because the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has a favorite people. And he's going to give this favorite people a heavenly kingdom. A kingdom that's blueprinted and formatted and patterned after his mind. How he want a kingdom to be.
But rather, seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell that ye have, and give alms. Provide yourselves bags which wax not old, a treasure in the heavens that faileth not, where no thief approacheth, neither moth corrupteth. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakan Kodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, in peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing this word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kodash, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. All right. And what I want to get into this morning, this morning news and prophecy, a system of complete control, and the war will continue. All right. And what we're seeing happening, is the will of the Heavenly Father being played out in the earth, and what we have to understand. Matter of fact, let's get straight to it. Let's get this in the book of Isaiah 46. Okay. So you go here to the book of Isaiah 46 and 9. It says, remember the former things of old, for I'm the Most High and there is none else. I am the Most High and there is none like me. Okay. And the Heavenly Father, all right, is showing himself, to be different, than anything that people claim to worship in the earth. The Heavenly Father is showing himself to be the one true power that controls everything. Because everything is subjugated to his will. And that's why, all right, when you go into Isaiah 46 and 10, declaring the end from the beginning, you see what we're seeing playing out now, these things were declared, from the beginning. You see, well, Esau, Edom, and, the elites and how they play both sides and do this and do that. Well, these things were declared from the beginning. Before there was an Edomite, the Lord already had this set up. He created Esau to fulfill a role. Esau was created to play this part. Okay. but the will of the Lord was already established from the beginning. Okay, so what we're seeing is Esau play his part within the Lord's will. Okay, Esau and the Most High not having a back and forth. Okay, Esau is playing within the Lord's will. So that's why we're able to tell Esau what he's going to do next, because we understand the will of the Lord. Okay, so we're watching these things playing out. We're watching the Heavenly Father show that he is, because Esau is subjugated to what's written. Okay, You know, Esau try to do a lot of cute shit on the side and this and that. No, nigga, you gotta do the will of the Lord. Okay, we know exactly what you gotta do. You see, you gotta persecute the prophets. You gotta bring civil unrest. Okay, you gotta collapse the economy and make this MOTB mandatory. You gotta do that. Okay, all this other spider web shit that Esau be have going on, man. Look, man, you gotta do the will of the Lord. You gotta play your part. As scriptures say, who have resisted his will? Nobody. Okay, Esau, his role is to be rebellious. It's to try to pull off a new world order. That's his role. Okay, and it all works in our favor. Everything that's happening is working in our favor. Okay, everything that we see happening from here on out, it works in our favor. Okay, it said declaring the end from the beginning and from the ancient times of things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure, man. So we're seeing the Lord do his pleasure. Because there's a lot of things that Esau wants to do that he's not able to do. Okay, because it's not within the will of the Lord. You see, there's certain limitation that Esau has, all right, that he can't get past. Okay, his sword can only do so much. His technology can only do so much. His witchcraft can only do so much. It's limited. Okay, but the Heavenly Father, everything that he wants to do is going to happen. Okay, so you go here just to get some more translation. So you go here, NLT says Isaiah 46:10 in the NLT says, only I can tell you the future before it even happens. Everything I plan will come to pass, for I do whatever I wish. Everything I plan will come to pass. Everything Esau plans doesn't come to pass. Okay, Esau should be backfiring on Esau. Okay, because it's not within the will. And the thing that Esau is able to pull off, that's because it's within the will of the Lord. Not because this nigga is some brilliant nigga, you know, oh, he's playing 5D chess and no, it's the will of the Lord playing out. Okay, that's what we're seeing happening, man. Okay, the Most High is the genius, man. Esau is a puppet. The elites are puppets of the will of the Most High. Okay, the elites are just the top puppets. Okay, because it's puppets under the elites. Okay, but everyone's doing the bidding of the Lord. Okay, including the elites. You see, and what they're trying to do is to bring this control system. Well, this is prophesied to happen. Okay, this is him trying to sit in the seat of the Most High, just as prophecy said he would. Okay, so it says everything I plan will come to pass, for I do whatever I wish, man. So we're doing the witnessing the Lord, all right, doing whatever he wish. He said, my pleasure. Okay, because you go here because we know. Okay, let's go here, Romans 8:28. So you go to the book of Romans chapter 8 verse 28. It says, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love the Most High, to them who are called according to his purpose. So everything is working for our good, man. You know, everything that we see happen, the energy crisis lockdown, it working in our favor. The civil unrest, okay, the war escalating, everything working in our favor. Esau getting ready to persecute, the prophets, they're working in our favor. You see? So everything that this devil is doing, all right, is working in our favor and working against him. Okay? Everything that this devil is doing, we have to understand is working against him, man. You know, him crashing the economy and doing the global reset, that's working against him. That's because that's his end. We're in his end. Okay. So what this devil got going on, and because you can speculate, about what Esau got going on because he's all over the place, all that zigzagging and shit he doing, nigga. It all working in our favor. Okay. Luke 6:22 said, blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you and cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake. So when they persecute the prophets, Yahushua said we're blessed. So when Esau demonized us and demonize the name of Yahushua and the doctrine and make us to be these public enemies, guess what? They work for our favor. Okay? When people separate us from their company, okay, when we're looked at as a reproach, okay, when our names are cast out as evil, guess what? Yahushua say we blessed. Okay? Verse 23, rejoice ye in that day and leap for joy, for behold, your reward is great in heaven. See, these things got to play out before we're rewarded, man. Okay, with an eternal righteous rulership, man. Okay, we're finna get these new bodies. Okay, we finna rejoice in our power. Yahushua is gonna be ruling the earth in righteousness, man. Okay, we're gonna get the earth is gonna be turned back to a paradise, man. Okay, so you gotta look beyond this, man. Okay, these things that's getting ready to play out, man. We gotta have a vision beyond all this, man. Okay, the elect finna be rewarded, man. Okay, he said, for in the like manner did their fathers unto the prophets. Okay, so what Esau was getting ready to do, no matter what move he make, it work in our favor and it work against him. Okay, there's no victory for this nigga, man. Okay, because he only has a few more steps before the Most High checkmate his ass, man. Okay, and he got to make them steps. Okay, I said, okay, how much zigzagging he do, and he try to throw just a bunch of stuff out there to create confusion and a lot of this disinformation and all these different things that this devil got going on at the same time. But nigga, at the end of the day, he gotta fulfill the will of the Lord, man. And this nigga's at the end. Okay, he's at his end. All right, and we're at our beginning and the end of our captivity, man. Okay, so let's go here real quick. And then we go into a couple of videos. All right. Dealing with this control system, that the devil wants to bring out. Now, this is our second Esdras, all right, chapter 9 and verse 1. All right, in the GNT, it says, he answered, consider all these things very carefully. When you see that some of the signs I have told you about have appeared, you know that the time has come when the Most High will bring judgment on the world he has created. And the Lord is getting ready to bring great judgment, man. And Esau finna get caught up in this judgment. Okay? The Lord's going to use Esau as a tool of judgment to get that 2/3, to bring hell, all right, on America. Okay? But then Esau finna get caught up in the judgment too. You see, this judgment is above what Esau got going on. Okay? What Esau got going on, this is going to be what we're witnessing is a failed attempt. We're watching this nigga getting ready to fail. Okay, this is what we're watching. We're waiting on Esau to fail. Okay, at this attempt. Okay, and in the midst of that, it's going to be very it's going to be very horrific. It's going to be a lot of bloodshed. It's going to be very violent. It's going to be, the scripture say the worst time ever. Okay, but it's the Most High that's bringing these times, man. Esau is going to be a main tool, okay, to implement these times. But guess what? There's a judgment even coming for him. You see, understanding prophecy got us on the outside looking in with clarity, man. Okay, because a lot of people are caught up in the spider web of Esau chaos, man. Esau just got a tornado of, just a whole hurricane of this event, that event, this happening, the least doing this, the money market manipulation, this and that. So he got just a hurricane of events that's going on. But prophecy, all right, we're allowed to, through prophecy, we can simplify everything, man. Okay. So it says there will be earthquakes, national rebellions, international intrigues, unstable leaders, and confused rulers when you see these things happening. So the atmosphere is here. Okay, we know the elites, they manipulate and they play, all sides, and they got this going and that going. Okay, but the thing is, They're just playing within the will of the Lord. Okay? Esau not doing nothing that's going to change what's written in the scriptures. That's why Yahweh Shah says, speak to my people. All right, prophecy. Okay? Speak to my people in prophecy, man. Okay? The scriptures say, as we warn, if a brother want to put that, all right, Ezekiel 3:16, if a brother want to post that, it said, there will be earthquakes, national rebellions, international intrigues, unstable leaders, and confused rulers. Or said, when you see these things happening, all right, you will know, all right, that you will know that they are what the Most High has spoken about since the beginning of creation, man. Okay, so from the beginning of creation, these things are already established, man. Esau is not doing nothing new. He's just playing his part. Okay, he's not doing nothing prolific, okay, and amazing. No, he's just playing his part within the will of the Lord. These things were spoken of before the beginning of creation, man. Okay, and we're able to understand, okay, this devil's role. Okay, and we understand that this devil is finished. He's already defeated. Okay, we just watching him going through the motions of his failure. Okay, at this point, okay, he's gonna lose in every way. It said the beginning of the end of everything that happens in the world are clear. The same is true in the world above. Wonders and miracles show the beginning of events, okay, and mighty signs show when they end. Okay, so we're seeing the signs of this man's end. Okay, every sign is being shown that this devil is at his end, man. Okay, because he's peaked out. Okay, his military, everything is peaking out. All right, his military might has peaked out. Okay, his technology, he's peaked out. Okay, even like the thing, of course, we haven't seen everything that he has, but he's peaked out because he ain't got much time left. He ain't gonna have time to create, 20, 30 more years of new technology. No, he got to run with what he got. Okay, the Most High putting pressure on this nigga Esau, man. There's pressure on Esau. There's no one that's under more pressure than Esau, man. And that's why he's gonna put the pressure on the people. Okay, he's gonna put the real squeeze on the people, man. This man is under pressure trying to pull this off, man. Okay, it says wonders. Wonders and miracles show the beginning of events, and mighty signs show when they end. Some people will escape destruction, all right, which is the elect, and be saved by their good works, all right, or by their faith, which is good works and their faith. When you go into the KJV, okay, all of them, man. So the Lord had it to where the elect is getting ready to be delivered from everything that's coming in the earth, man. Even if we, all right, have to die in this thing, guess what? You see, that's it. That's all can be done. Okay. Now we're just awaiting Yahweh Shah to be resurrected. If we have to die in this thing, man. And we're going to be raised up immortal. Death doesn't separate us from the victory. Because even in death, that's an escape. You see? They're still an escape. Now we don't, because those that die in Yahweh Shah, they don't have to deal with the things that's going on. They escape. And they're going to come back immortal at the return of Yahweh Shah, man. Okay. So the elect is set up for the elect to win. It's rigged for the elect to win, and it's rigged for Esau to lose, man. Okay. So no matter what move he make, he lose. No matter what move he make towards us, we win. Okay. That's the game that we're seeing being played out. All right. It says all of them will survive the dangers I have described and will enjoy the salvation provided in the land that I have set apart from eternity as my own. Okay, so there's a deliverance. All this is leading up to a deliverance, man. Okay, everything is working in our favor. Okay, for the elect to be delivered. Okay, and for Yahweh Shah to establish the throne of David in the earth. So these nations going to war. Okay, pummeling each other. Okay, Esau trying to, Esau's attempting to implement this control system. Okay, and this new world order. You see, the persecution of the prophets, all these things work in our favor for us to win. Okay, see, we have a victory written. Esau don't. He's trying to write his own victory. Nigga finna lose, man. Okay, so let's go here real quick. Let's play this. So let's deal with this control system first. All right, let's go back. Let's go to about right here. Make sure I put this in the link. All right, so this is Catherine Austin Fitts. All right, which she used to work, you know, in DC, you know, dealing with the central bankers, you know. So she's been seeing this thing play out for a while. Okay. Let's go here. This is the book of Mr. Brother Yaqub, the Hopeful Live 3, Ezekiel 3:17 says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word in my mouth and give them warning from me. Okay? Give them warning from me. You see? So the warning is coming from, you know, the Lord raised up particular men to be watchmen, but we're warning of what the Most High getting ready to do. Esau's within that, how he finna roll, okay? But ultimately, it's the Most High, all right, that's finna bring the pain to the earth, man. Okay? Esau gonna get caught up in it. He's gonna be used for a moment, then he's gonna be judged, man. Okay? So it says, warn them from me. Okay? So it's the Heavenly Father that's orchestrating everything that we're seeing, man. Okay? He got Esau on assignment. All right. And through us understanding prophecy, we understand, all right, the assignment of Esau, man. Okay. And we know where he's going with this thing. Okay. So let's play this. We'll jump around this video. She's gonna go into it. Yeah, I put the link up. Pretty good watch. You know, we're gonna jump around, but it's worth the watch.
It's something else, right?
This is designed to be a global system. Meantime, you have many different cartels trying to be the one, you know, so my cartel wants to control the digital ID system, and the healthcare control, you know, wants to use vaccine passports, you know, so we're watching tremendous competition in industries and providers of who gets to define the digital ID and how it works and whatever. But essentially what everybody needs, if they're going to have complete central control, is they need a exceptionally precise, high quality digital ID system. And everything works off of that. The programmable money works off of that. The spatial control works after that. You have all these data centers built around the world to basically manage the data for the control grid.
What are the components of this system, this digital control grid? What are the components, the main components that are being built?
So the first thing is that digital ID, right? Because everything, the spatial control and the financial control work off of that. So it's the satellites, it's the telecommunications, including massive amounts of towers, you know, on the ground. It's that we have something in America called flock cameras. I don't know if you have them here, but basically cameras in local areas that read license plates and feed the information back. The big piece is the data centers, because you're collecting data in real time and having to then generate data in real time. And that requires tremendous amounts of data collection and analysis and generation. And that's the primary goal of AI is control. It's not to make us more productive, it's to control. And it has other applications. But what AI is fantastic at is things that can be tracked mathematically. So that's financial transactions and also spatial control. Then you have a whole layer of hardware infrastructure to implement enforcement. And that's what they're building the robots and the drones for, is essentially, you know, Tesla is saying they're going to make 1 million humanoid robots a year. And basically that's so you can enforce whatever you need but you can also replace any human you need. So, what these people are paid for is to say this stuff with a straight face. And I give them credit. I couldn't do it. So
What is this programmable money? How does this work?
So programmable money, I go back to COVID. If I'm putting you in a 15-minute city and I don't want you to be able to leave your 15-minute city, it won't work outside of your 15-minute city. And I can program very different rules for you than I program for, me. So I can custom design the rules that enforce your existence. It can embed rules on where you can go, what you can eat, what you can do. It can punish you for what you say. It can arbitrarily increase your taxes if the state needs more money. It can shut down your account if they think that will slow down inflation. You just stop everybody from spending. And
like she said, the digital ID, is vital, because through their ID, they're able to identify, your movement, because when you have a digital ID, when you link that to your banking, all right, when you link that to internet, okay, because right now they're able to have, it's loose, the system is loose, and what this devil wants to do, he wants to tighten it up to give him just absolute control, and he wants to be able to program your money with different rules, according to your behavior. Okay, last week, where they can go in, okay, and just change the rules for your money. Okay, this programmable money is a social credit. It's a social credit system on a whole nother level, and it's all for social engineering, because he wants to put this in because he wants to engineer people, okay, to be demonic, man. Like if Esau was to put this system in and have this thing up and going, he will social engineer people to be demonic on a whole nother level, man. It would just be wide open, all right, Canaanite society, man. Okay, because in order to be able to exist, you have to comply. You have to comply with this devil fully to exist, man. Okay, that's the system that he wants in place. In order to exist, you got to fully comply. Okay, whatever he wants you to do, if you're not willing to do it, well, you don't get to exist, man. Okay, this is the type of tyranny that this devil wants to bring to the earth. Okay, so with this digital system, it gives him full control, and without people owning any type of resources, okay, and having to go to him, all right, for everything. Okay, that's why he's putting the squeeze, all right, on middle class and the rest of these businesses, man. You're going like this free market enterprise where you can just wake up and start a business. Now that's going to be over with, man. Okay, people are just going to be going digital slaves. Okay, and there's only going to be a few businesses that he allows, all right, to operate within this new system, man. That's his plan. You see? So let's go a little more.
you can embed highly complex rule systems to manage each individual, as well as to manage groups of individuals and places, as well as, everybody. So now the bankers can not just run monetary policy, they can run fiscal policy through programmable money. If you look at the whole sort of Western world, they've so grown up with financial freedom that they can't fathom this. And of course, if you look at all the parts of the system, so we're watching QR codes and smartphones and crypto, and you have all these different pieces that are being put into place. There are hundreds of them. And if you talk to each person, they'll tell you why this is more efficient and they like it. And what they're saying is legitimate, except they don't understand once you fuse it together, it's a digital concentration camp. And suddenly, if I don't like your social media posts, I can turn off your money. And I don't need a bureaucrat to do it. The software can do it.
You mentioned China.
Yeah, because right now in this old government, the elites, they run these governments and they have to work through these governments. They have to deal with bureaucracy, what they call red tape. They work through these governments. You see? They had to deal with legislation and this process. But see, this eliminates that whole process, okay, to where the elites are able, all right, to control, okay, what they call fiscal policy, man, okay, what they're going to be able to control, all right, day to day. You see, they ain't have to go through president, vice president, the House, the Senate. No, hey, cut him off, cut her off, cut this off, cut this whole region off. Okay, cut this whole group off, cut them off. Okay, they'll be able to have that type of control. So where they're not going through governments, no, they're going through technology. Okay, they're going to control through technology, man. The governments will be obsolete. Okay, so this is why you see Trump with all these technocrats, man. Okay, they're bringing in a new style of government, man. Okay, a new level of tyranny.
The Chinese social credit system, they have also they have rolled out digital yuan, I understand. So are they already implementing such a system there?
So I get different feedback from China. I just had several allies go to China and say, it's really not that bad. I've had other people say, yes, they're rolling out social credit and it's really invasive.
I follow what's happening in China, and I also mentioned 15-minute cities. I've seen those videos online that you have to show your QR
Right.
code to get in or out of a zone.
It's spatial control.
Yeah, it pretty much.
Right. And if you look at what they did in the lockdowns, it was brutal.
Do we understand that this kind of thing in the West, I mean, I feel that we don't understand that this kind of thing can lead to that.
The media is not designed to tell us what's coming, unless that's desired. So the corporate media is dedicated to helping facilitate centralized control. So they're trying to herd us into the digital concentration camp, and that's what they're paid to do. And it's hard for many people to fathom.
She said the media is dedicated to herd you into this new world order. Okay? And you hear the talking points of the media is nothing but the enchantments, okay, of the elites that's going out, man. Okay, that's why people that listen to Western media are so confused, so behind, and they believe in a false reality, man. Okay? So the media is nothing but a psyop to prep you for this new world order. Okay? And you just wait till they really go to the next phase with this thing, man. The things that's going to be coming from Western media. Okay? Western media is built, all right, from the beginning. That's why they want to put, phones in these children's hands at such a young age, because as soon as you put their phone in their child's hand, they start being programmed. Okay? They start being programmed. You open the children up to programming. That's why, these children have phones at so young age, man. Okay? And she said in the interview that the CEOs at Silicon, they don't give their children cell phones. Okay? Billionaires don't give their children cell phones at 5, 6, 7 years old, man. Because they understand the programming that come with it. You see, they operate outside of, all right, the outside of the societal norms, because they know the damage that they're doing. You see, so let's jump up a little more. I say we're gonna jump around. I think it's about the 19-minute mark. We'll play, and she'll go into also like this war. How this war. Now she's not a war expert, but she understands how these bankers utilize wars, okay, to move the needle. You see? So let's play this.
We tried very hard to help people understand, look, you're dealing with an effort to massively consolidate political and economic control, and here's what you need to do to navigate it. You'll be talked into doing things that are totally ridiculous. We had Well, I remember one subscriber telling me about a relative who was like wearing a whole plastic bodysuit to go to the store and these ridiculous things.
So when we were driving here, we were also remembering all sorts of ridiculous things that people were meant to believe, and if they were not believing in it, they were kind of smeared or
Here we are again. We're just starting into COVID 2.0, right? You shut down the straits, you bottleneck the straits, shut off the energy, and suddenly, we've got gas rationing and spatial controls going in around the world. It's COVID 2.0. So we did health. Now we're going to do transportation, right? We're going to do energy. I mean, it's clearly part of the reset. It's clearly the next phase of the reset. That's what you see all over the world. So at the G20 meeting in September, you had Russia and China and India all pledging allegiance to the BIS construct of, this control system. So everybody has their own version, but you have a lot of countries who say, we want to run our control grid. We don't want the City of London to run our control grid or the New York Fed to run our control grid.
so there's a
And you have, that power struggle. Okay? Because say Iran is down with the digital system, but they don't want it to be ran from the West. Okay, Russia, China, they're down with the digital system, but they don't want to run it from the West because the Western banking system hasn't been all right friendly to China or Russia, man. Now you have elites that invest, okay, heavily into China, and China economy has been booming based on, these investments. Okay, but as long as these Western, banking systems, okay, run the finance, man. China has been subject to these sanctions. Russia has been, all right, sanctioned, okay, and Iran has just been sanctioned on a whole nother level, okay. So you have, this struggle going on between, okay, we with this system, but nigga, we gotta iron some things out, okay, and we have to understand that these conflicts that we see, these are ongoing conflicts, Of course, like I say, the elites got their thing going on, and you have these nations that are in full agreement with a technocracy, okay? But how they're going to do it, okay? And who's going to have control? Who's going to, the status? These nations want a certain status going into this thing, man. Okay, because they've been the way that the Western financial system has did certain nations, man. They're like, look, man, we're not gonna do round two, okay, of this old system. We not gonna be treated like we were treated in that old system, man. We with it, but nigga, we gotta earn some things out. All right, and this division, man, you gotta understand. Esau always fights over his kingdom, man. Okay, these niggas just ain't having picnics talking about what they're going to do next, man. There's a lot of treachery dealing with the higher you get over Esau, the more treacherous and cutthroat it is, man. Okay, and we're seeing these things starting to spill over into actual war. And these wars are tension that have existed for ages, man, for decades. Okay, it's just a continuation of particular tensions, man. Mainly post or World War II, Cold War, all right, tensions, all right, has been the motivator behind a lot of these conflicts that we've seen. Okay, so she's gonna play a little more. Let me see.
power struggle over there.
Well, there's a struggle not only between sort of nation states, there's a huge struggle between industries. So if you look at this, the war happening right now between the tech bros and the banks as to who's going to control, because we haven't talked about stablecoins and asset tokens. The next iteration of CBDC implementation is private CBDCs, which are far worse. They're far more ugly.
And yeah, see the tech companies are owned by the bankers, man. The central bankers, the elites, okay, they deploy these tech companies, okay, to start to set up the infrastructure. You know, so when we see these tech companies, you know, get these major contracts, man, these are nothing but the elites beginning to implement that infrastructure. Okay, you know, through you know, the data centers, all right, surveillance, okay, even with Amazon, like she talked about the flock, but even the Ring camera, okay, the Ring cameras are part of the digital public infrastructure through Amazon. All right, so these tech guys are juiced in, you know, they're set up, okay, by these bankers, you know, as these private companies that's all about, you know, innovation and making life easier. But no, they're setting up a control grid. Okay, they're deployed to, you know, Amazon, SpaceX, Elon. All right, these niggas are deployed, you know, Palantir, which you're gonna get into this nigga. Okay. Let me fast forward a little bit here because you're gonna say a major thing, because one thing that these devils need control over is their food. You know, and that's why there's been a war on farmers, you know, especially in these Western nations. Okay, these EU nations and America. All right, there's been a war on farmers. Okay, because they need control of the food. Okay, because you control the people. All right, through what? Through food, man. All right, just like ancient Egypt. You see, Pharaoh wasn't able to get absolute power. You know, you read the book of Genesis. During the time of Joseph, Pharaoh was able to get absolute power over what? Control of the food. Okay, so we're seeing an attack on farmers like never before. Okay, and with this whole fertilizer move, okay, this is a direct war against the farmers. So let's play this.
Shut down every small business and small farm in the world. They're as helpless to do it.
They have been telling this to us all along. I mean, always when it was talk about Iran attacking Iran, it was always also talk about Strait of Hormuz.
But let's look at the global chessboard. The Americans tried to put on tariffs for everybody. The Supreme Court has said, no, you can't do that. But there's another way to put everybody over the barrel. Remember, the Americans have worked very hard to make sure they're energy self-sufficient, and they have stockpiles of a lot of things they need. Okay. They just put the world into energy collapse and famine conditions, you know, by doing this. So now they got everybody over a barrel. And they're, you know, relatively, it's what one of the economic spokesperson for the White House said the other day. We're going to use this on our news trends. The story said, American economy is going to be fine. He said the consumer is going to be hurt, but the economy will be fine. Because in fact, the billionaires should be fined, right? Because what you're talking about doing is creating the conditions for massive consolidation upwards, right? I mean, you can shut down every small business and small farm in the world and consolidate upward because if you've got the reserve currency, and you can do what you did during COVID. I mean, we shut down in America. We bankrupted or shut down 35% of the small business and God knows how many of the small farms. And the publicly traded Wall Street firms had a field day. They made a fortune, right? So it was successful.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. You know, these devils finna buy up everything. You know, all these businesses that's finna go out. Okay, all these farms that's finna you know, go bankrupt. Well, big banks come in and just buy up everything. BlackRock mainly. Okay, that's one of the main purchasing, all right, arms of the Rothschild, okay, banking system, man. You know, they use BlackRock, all right. This what's his name? This long haired nigga, Larry Fink, all right, to go buy up everything. You know, if they intentionally, okay, you know, consolidate, okay, wealth and assets, okay, by what, man? Making doing business unaffordable, making farming unaffordable. Okay, so they intentionally do these things to buy up everything, man. All right, so all resources are being, okay, extrapolated from, all right, the working class. You know, whether you're in the, you know, the lower, middle, upper middle, whatever, all resources are being extrapolated, okay, from the working class, Okay, and in this new world order, okay, you're gonna get things distributed to you according to their liking. Okay, they don't want one homestead in the new world order. Okay, they want everybody to be completely dependent on them. You see, and they plan on doing a lot of depopulation, man, because this agenda ain't for billions of people; it's for a few 100 million people. Okay, 500 million people according to the Georgia Guidestones. Okay, so you best believe that especially in America, almost 30 million people, something like that. Okay, you best believe they plan on knocking American population down by a hell of a lot, man. Okay, because it's easy for them to control, and it shows you that he ain't meant to play the Most High. The fact that he got to reduce the population so much so he can play the Most High, man, show you he not built to do that, man. Here it is, the Most High is promising us that we're going to inhabit other planets, man. That he's going to stretch the earth out, make it bigger. All right, then he's going to open up the curtains of.
And if you think that's successful, where do you see this? Because for the last year, the administration has cut down.
Yeah, he's going to open up the curtains of the universe, to other planets, man. You see? So this nigga here, this inferior ass, basic ass nigga trying to play the Most High, man, but he has to depopulate so much to even attempt it, man. So let's play this a little more.
Massive amounts of, there are all these different programs to provide funding for the food insecure, both domestically and internationally. They've canceled, I think, most, if not all of that. So now, now you're talking about serious famine conditions globally if this continues.
Yeah.
Because, if you look at the ingredients coming through for the fertilizer plants, including in Europe, and then look at everything we've done in Europe to shut down the small farmer. You are creating the conditions of famine.
Yeah. Well, in Europe, what we did in the Netherlands, what they did here was
it's criminal.
Yeah, and it was on the pretext of climate. This is another thing.
It had nothing to do with climate. It had to do with central control. Right. You can't get central control. Here's the thing, because programmable money and food are two sides of one coin. I cannot, if everybody can grow food and eat and they have food and energy, they can make community currencies. They don't need my money, right? I got to control the energy and the food if I'm going to get programmable money, if I'm going to put everybody in the digital concentration camp.
You got to control energy and food. They got to control energy and food, man. So this is what we see playing out, and especially with their food. Okay. So they're setting a condition for mass famine, but it's the Lord that wants famine. Okay, so the Lord allowing these things to come to pass because the Lord wants famine. Okay. Matter of fact, a brother can get there with it, 2nd Ezra 15 and is it 4? 4 or 5. Brother can post that. Okay, 2nd Ezra 16. Brother can post that, and we'll segue to this next video because she talked about what? Getting control of the food. Okay, so let's go here. I just looked at this morning. Yep. I think that Jeremiah 15 as well. Jeremiah 15, verses 1 through 3. Ezekiel 4 and I think 17, some 16. Yeah, get all the famine scripts because this is what the Lord wants famine. Because the Lord is getting ready to punish the earth, man. He's using Esau as as a wicked ruler to punish the earth before Esau's punished, man. All right, this is the brother Hopeful Lake 3, the brother Yahweh, Mark 3:26. It says, and if Satan stand up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand but have an end. And these devils are at the end, man. All right, and they're going to do what they always do, is fall out about who's going to control this new system. Okay, They do the same thing every time. They fall out every time they get to a certain point, okay, within their empire. These devils, come into power, when they get to a certain point of power, they fall out. Okay, they're gonna do the same thing this time, man. Okay, just as they don't, all right, keep any agreements with any of these other nations, well, they don't keep agreements with each other, man. Okay, that nigga can't do right. All right, because everybody wants to be the man. It says 2nd Ezra 15:5, behold, said the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. So the Lord finna bring famine. All right, and he's using Esau to engineer these things, man. Okay, and then there's also gonna be things happening that Esau didn't plan for. Okay, you see, like the Most High gonna get the ad living more and more in these events, man. You see, so let's go here. All right, so we're seeing these things being engineered, but hosting they're being engineered by the Most High, man. Okay, through Esau, because Esau in his mind, and Esau thinks he's establishing a new world order. In his mind, he's he's getting ready to run, okay, through the tape, okay, of his new world order, man. You see, and the Most High want him to think that. He want him to move like that, because it plays into the will of the Lord. 2nd Ezra 16:18, this brother Hopeful Lake 3. It said the beginning of sorrows and great mourning, the beginning of famine and death, the beginning of wars. Okay, and all these things are happening, man. All these things are in their beginning phases. And the power shall stand in fear. All right, the beginning of evil. What shall I do when these evils shall come? And it said the power shall stand in fear, man. Okay, these elites, man. Okay, they're not comfortable trying to establish this thing, man. The Lord is putting pressure on Esau to go with his move, man. Even if he's not fully ready, all right, he got to roll this thing out, man. Okay, because there's certain things that this devil behind on, man. Because you go into those 7 countries that they were supposed to destabilize and take the resources, okay? Those 7 countries, well, they supposed to do it in 5 years, man. Which was Iraq, Syria, you see, Afghanistan, Somalia, Libya, okay, and Iran. You see? So these 7 countries, which they were supposed to do this in 5 years, man, this has been 23 years in the making, man. You see? So these devils, okay, they're behind on things, man, according to their plan, because it's not their plan. Okay, it's the plan of the Lord. These devils can only do what they're allowed to do, what they're allowed to pull off, man. This is the book of Jeremiah. This brother Mark Abal is Jeremiah 15 verses 1-3. It says, then said the Lord unto me, though Moses and Samuel stood before me, yet my mind cannot be towards this people. Cast them out of my sight and let them go forth. And this is you tribes, man. They refuse to listen, man. Okay, all you hard-headed niggas and nigga women that refuse the word of the prophets, through the word of the Lord through the prophets. Okay, well, the Lord already got a judgment predestined for you. Okay, so everything was already set up from the beginning. People are just going through their emotions, playing their part. Lord will, we playing the part of the elect, man. Which is going to lead to a deliverance. And it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whither shall we go forth? Then thou shalt tell them, thus said the Lord, such as for death to death, such as for the sword, all right, to the sword. Let me see. All right, and it says, such as for the famine to the famine. It says, and to the captivity. Yeah, so famine is already predestined. See, these things were already set up way before there was an Edomite. These things were set up. Esau was just created to play his role within the Lord's will. Okay? He's the wicked villain nigga of the movie, man. Okay? Lewd nigga of the movie, man. Okay? So the Lord already had these things set up, man, to where there's certain judgments and events that's predestined. Okay. Yep, brother got that. All right. Mr. Brother Azari, GMS in Truth Orlando. Ezekiel 4:16. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and they shall drink water by measure. So these things, and it says, and with astonishment, man. Okay, and with astonishment, man. So it's the Lord that's gonna break the staff of bread. Okay, he just got this wicked nigga Esau to pull it off, man. Okay, because the Lord needed a nigga that don't give a damn. Okay, to pull these things off, to be in rulership and pull these things off and execute, man. Okay, you see, the Lord needed a dark nigga in power. Okay, to execute the Lord's anger on the left hand side. Okay. And this nigga Esau fits the bill. He was customized just for this, man. Okay. The scripture said, I made the wicked for the day of evil. Okay. This is what Esau Edom was created to do, to be the wicked, man. Okay, and not give a damn. Okay. Ezekiel 4:17 says that they may want bread and water and be astonished with one another and consume away for their iniquity, man. Yeah, so people are getting ready to consume away through famine, man. That's a horrific death. Okay, but that's the judgment of the Lord, man. You see, the judgment of the Lord is finna settle in the earth. Okay, Esau Edom, you know, he's at the forefront. Okay, executing particular things. You see, but then he's going to be judged. Okay, it's going to keep escalating beyond his control. Everything is going to keep escalating beyond his control, man. Okay, and he's going to get caught up in the judgment, man. You see, so the Lord got this thing mapped out. So as she said that control of food plays a major part, okay, in this control system, man. Okay, because if people, I'll say, if everyone had, you know, farms, it would be hard for this nigga to pull this off, man. You know, so that's why throughout the decades he's been, you know, people have been migrating to these cities. Okay, you know, the convenience, and you see, people have lost the knowledge of how to live off the land, you know, which gives this nigga more leverage, man. The more dependent, you know, people are on the grid, well, the more leverage he has. Okay, so over the decades, he's been intentionally, all right, you know, causing people to migrate, you know, to the city, you know, the city life, the nightlife, the splendor, the glam, the allure, you know, the sports cars, the events, the nightlife, the women, the drinking, you know, the clout that comes with being in the city. Okay, so he's enchanted a lot of people. You know, a lot of people left family farms to what? Go to the city. You know, a lot of people left family land to what? Go to the city. They convenience, they kicking it. That, you see, but now on the back end, what do you see now? People trying to leave the city and go back to, all right, the rural areas, man. People trying to start homesteads now. Okay. Well, see, this devil, you know, it's already so far gone, because there's only what, like 8, I think there's only like 8 food processing plants in America. Okay, easily control that, man. Only less than 2% of America's population are farmers. Okay, and what do we see starting to take over? All right, farming. Bill Gates. Okay, and now you have this in the game. Now you have Palantir. They just signed a deal with the USDA to safeguard food supply. It's over. It's over, man. Palantir inks a $300 million deal with USDA to safeguard food supply, man. Let's play this, man. Okay? This is a technocracy, man. Right in your face.
Deal with murderous spy corporation.
Here is a threat.
Killer AI robots.
When it's necessary to scare enemies, on occasion kill.
them.
Covering Porpia covers up.
Hey, it's JT Siskowski with Status Coup. Peter Thiel's tech giant Palantir, which is a company that makes its money by helping implement the omnipotent surveillance state here in the United States, has just closed a deal with the federal government to take over complete control of oversight over the U.S.'s food production system. What could go wrong? Let's first start by, before we get into the details of that deal, reminding you of who Palantir is. This is a clip of Alex Karp, the company's CEO, gleefully telling investors that their business is, one, doing clandestine shit, and two, killing people.
And we're super proud of the role we play, especially in places we can't talk about. And we love our success in the U.S. and globally. Also, you know, we are doing in the United Kingdom and many other places. Palantir is here to disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world when it's necessary to scare enemies and on occasion kill them.
And look at these niggas, man. Look at these niggas that run that's at the forefront, man. Okay, look at Sam Altman and Elon Musk, man. Look at these funny looking weird Edomites, man. Alex Karp, man. You know this nigga just do cocaine, PDF behavior. This nigga wake up, don't comb his goddamn hair. You know this nigga don't take daily baths. Okay, but these are the niggas saying what's next. Okay, look at these weird niggas, man. Okay, nah, man. The Lord gonna intervene, man. The Lord gotta intervene. Okay, this can't be next, man. And these are the people that now in control of your food supply. This nigga.
I hope you're in favor of that, and we're really happy and very, very focused on what we're doing.
So a murderous spy corporation is who the USDA has turned to have surveillance over America's food system from CNBC. Palantir Inc.'s $300 million deal with USDA to safeguard food supply. Palantir announced a $300 million deal with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which will use the software company's technology to manage farmland as geopolitical risks threaten global supply chains. Man alive, is that some pro-Palantir spin there from CNBC, at least trying to sane wash or greenwash or some way like humanity wash this company, but this is not lost on the ground with activists.
And look at the nigga that's protesting, man. You Edomites gotta get out of here, man. You know, it's time for you Edomites to go, man. Okay, that's the conclusion. Every second of the day, that's the conclusion. Look at the nigga protesting, man. What is this nigga, man? Okay. All right, the tech niggas weird. The niggas is protesting weird. You Edomites just got to go, man. And it's beautiful to see that the Lord just got the world of Esau falling apart, man. You know? And this nigga think he got it, man. You see? But from top to bottom, all you Edomites need to be put back in chains, man. Okay? And way off from civilization, just working in the mines in the field somewhere, man. Okay? This nigga climbed up, you know.
He's a radical Christian, misogynistic, white supremacist founded, government profiteering, billionaire data analysis company. This company is systematically partnering with ICE to terrorize our immigrant families, our brothers and sisters, and murdering Americans. Is that shameful or not? Shame! Palantir is a threat to American democracy. And we want Palantir out of New York!
Look at this nigga, man. Okay? You look at Alex Karp, then you look at this nigga, man. Okay? Esau, the tackiest nation of people that ever do it, man. You know? This is just a hot mess. And that's why all the nuke shit's gonna come to America. The only judgment that makes sense is the judgment that the Lord got. And that's just the nuclear destruction, man. Okay? Look at this nigga, man. You know this nigga was a wide receiver in the 80s. You know? You know that nigga led, you know, Alabama nigga from
If you think on the ground reporting and lifting up everyday people's voices.
Yeah, Esau done. So Palantir is going to get control of the USDA, which we've been saying that all these federal bureaucracy that's supposed to, you know, be a safeguard and the guardrail for the people, they're all sold out. Okay, USDA, the FDA, okay, the EPA, okay. That's why these data centers get to do what they. If the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, if they were doing what they were supposed to be doing, it wouldn't be one data center in America, man. Okay, USDA. If the USDA was doing what they was doing, it'd be a lot of food that wouldn't be allowed on American shelves. If the FDA was doing what they were supposed to be doing, it would be a lot of pharmaceuticals not allowed on the shelves, man. Okay, none of them do what they're supposed to do. So now they're just fully giving it over to the technocrats now, man. Okay, so play this, man.
That protests against these massive surveillance corporations is important. We agree with you. We are trying to build that here at Status Coup. You can help be a part of it by going to statuscoup.com/join. For as low as $5 a month, you go to support actual on the ground, justice focused journalism. So when it's talked about, you know, safeguarding U.S. food supply, this is just about expanding the surveillance state here in the United States. And they're going to use China as the boogeyman, as they do in most things, to justify the rollout of this surveillance state. This is what CNBC has to say. China's purchase of U.S. farmland in recent years has also drawn scrutiny from Washington and foreign policy experts. A recent research note published by the Foundation of Defense Democracies recommended that the USDA reform reporting requirements embedded within the Agricultural Foreign Investment Disclosure Act to prevent China and other adversarial countries from exploiting commercial land transactions to gain a strategic edge over the United States. The USDA's contract with Palantir signals its desire to address this issue by harnessing the company's digital tools. And
they talking about China, you know, brought up farmland in America. Well, who sold it to them? Okay, who sold it to them, man? That's why I say with these devils, it's like, what are y'all doing, man? You know, and there's certain things, you know, we watch and keep up with what Esau doing, man. But this nigga so tacky and all over the place, man. Okay, he have you all over the place, man. That's why we just stick to the prophecies, man. Okay, and we know that the whole point of Palantir, okay, is for the control grid. Okay, so they can tokenize the food. Okay, so they can tokenize the food supply. Okay, and when they program, you know, your money, okay, it's gonna be known. It's gonna be known that you have had, you know, this much fruit, this much, you know, vegetable, this much meat. It's gonna be known exactly how much. They're gonna tokenize everything, man. Okay, because one thing the AI can do, okay, is good at counting. Okay, and that's another thing too. She said in the interview, the AI was never meant to be, all right, a warehouse worker at Amazon. You know, it does particular things, and certain things are going to be automated. Okay, but the main thing this AI is for the control grid. AI is for control. They make it seem like it was just is here to, you know, boost production and business, which they use it for that to a degree, but it can only do so much. But one thing that the AI is real good at, and that's, all right, math, all right, and quantifying. Okay, and that's what's going to be needed for what? The control grid, man. You see? So they've been rolling out AI like it's a friend to humanity, man. Okay, you know, let people play with it and, you know, do videos. You see, you know, turn Billie Jean to, you know, to a trap song. You see, so they've been letting people get friendly and cozy with this AI, but the AI is the control system. It's learning you to control you, okay, and to quantify. You see, That's the main purpose of the AI, is for control, man. And this Palantir, all right, over the food is just to control and quantify and ration out the food. Okay, it's letting you know they're getting ready to do rations, man. Okay, and those rations are gonna be linked to a digital ID, man. Whenever they make whatever major move they're gonna make in America, man, whether it's cyber attack, some major false flag, man, them digital IDs on they gotta come out. You know, yeah, it makes sense, you know, with this rationing, man. Okay, so let's play this.
Favor of China buying up a bunch of U.S. land, or Chinese corporations buying up a bunch of U.S. land? No, I am in favor of democratizing access to land in whatever way possible. But that is just being used as an excuse here to further grow Palantir's influence. It already has massive contracts in the defense industry and reportedly has been helping ICE as well in its brutal crackdown here across the country. Palantir has also faced sharp criticism over the years for its work with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and the Department of Homeland Security, including reports that its tools are being used by the government to surveil Americans. Claims the company has denied. What are you supposed to do? Just openly admit to a fascist, New World Order project that you are trying to build here in the United States of America? Oh, wait, Palantir has actually done that. Just a few days ago, they posted a 22-point manifesto on X for how they feel the U.S. should look. And surprise, surprise, it would be a world that Palantir profits directly off of. Each point is more dystopian than the last. The first one I want to highlight here is point 6, which is national service should be a universal duty, meaning mandatory military service. We should, as a society, seriously consider moving away from an all-volunteer force and only fight the next war if everyone shares in the risk and the cost. You are required to serve your country now. That benefits Palantir because they make all kinds of software products for the military, and the military would have greater demand if they had more soldiers. So greater militarism here in the United States, again, a precursor to fascism. Point number 22, we must resist the shallow temptation of a vacant and hollow pluralism. We in America, and more broadly, the West, have for the past half century resisted defining national cultures in the name of inclusivity. But inclusion into what? Make no mistake, this is just an out and out reference to America being, in their eyes, a white Christian ethno-state. That is what they want to see here in America, and exclude brown and black people because they can build surveillance tools then that should be used in their mind by law enforcement to surveil these outgroups that they are creating. And again, in the rising fascism in any country of an outgroup or placed on an outgroup in order to justify domestic crackdowns. Point 5, the question is not whether AI weapons will be built. It is who will build them and for what purpose. Our adversaries will not pause to indulge in theatrical debates about the merits of developing technologies with critical military and national security implications. They will proceed. Killer AI robots. We need to build them here in this country because Palantir would profit directly off of the software that would go robots. And they're saying here that any debates about the U.S. In the U.S. about AI are theatrical. I don't know that there's anything theatrical about.
Yeah, man. So basically, Palantir is going to be the main platform used for AI law enforcement. Okay, and digital ID, and distribution of goods. Palantir is like this devil's, all-seeing eye, which it goes back to, the Lord of the Rings. Okay, that stone, that all-seeing stone. So with this Palantir is supposed to make the devil omnipresent, when he everywhere at the same time. And he's been, using Palantir to track, the different leaders and generals, especially in Iran, Hamas and Hezbollah. Okay, yeah, they even got a Russian general a year or two ago. I think they blew up he walked out the office and they blew up a scooter or something, you know, this you know, Esau, man, big ass kid. Okay. But through Palantir, you know, he's been able to be, you know, he's been able to pretend as if he's omnipresent, you know, like he's everywhere at the same time. All right. Which we know this devil has capability, but he has limitations and flaws. Okay. Like I said, that Palantir ain't been doing it don't do good in the hot war, you know. It do good in a controlled environment, but in the hot war it don't do that good. But let's see. Oh yeah, you have this, man. I don't know what they got going on. So you go here, you just had this. So you had a situation in the White House, you know, so-called supposed to been, you know, shooting at some dinner. Okay, and we'll see how they're gonna spin it. Okay, because we know it's gonna be some false flag. All right, and don't be surprised if they link the prophets to, all right, one of these major events that they, all right, plan on pulling off, man. But they telegraph. Okay, you know, had, you know, a few incidents where they made Jake the you know, the culprit, all right, and you know, had so-called drones flying over, you know, unknown drones flying over military bases. Okay, you have some random chick in LA supposed to be running arms, okay, for Iran. All right, and then you have this situation, okay, with at some dinner at the White House. Okay, so let's play this.
News out of Washington, D.C. and the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where President Trump and other high-ranking White House officials have just been evacuated from the Washington Hilton after loud noises were heard in the lobby. This is happening right now in Washington, D.C. If you look on your screen, you see guests being escorted out of the dinner. The dinner was set to start around 8 o'clock. The president was set to make remarks, the first time that he was attending as the president, having skipped the event throughout his first term as well as last year. Again, the president has been evacuated from the Washington Hilton ahead of his remarks at the White House Correspondents' Dinner after loud noises were heard in the lobby. It is unclear exactly what those loud noises were, but clearly nobody was taking any chances. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez is at the dinner tonight, and he joins us now on the phone with the very latest of what's going on. Gabe, what can you tell us?
Jessica, it's a very confusing situation right here on the ballroom floor, which is where we are. We were sitting at a table close to several high-ranking officials. As you mentioned, they were evacuated. Just to my left was Secretary Marco Rubio. He was evacuated.
Please stand by. We'll have an announcement in just a minute.
And now,
We will be
as you might
short.
as you might be able to hear, there was an announcement that this dinner will be resuming shortly. Some positive news. It's unclear exactly what happened, Jessica. There was a lot of confusion. In the middle of the salad portion of the evening, the president of the White House Correspondents Association had just given brief remarks. We had just heard the national anthem played. The president and the first lady had come into the room, and we were awaiting his remarks as the evening went on. It was very calm, energetic room, thousands of journalists as well as government officials here. And as you mentioned, this is the first time that the president, President Trump, has attended this dinner. Now, what happened, all of a sudden, Secret Service came into the room, evacuated the president, evacuated several high-ranking officials. It's unclear exactly what happened. You have spoken to a witness who says that this person heard what appeared to be gunshots in the room above the ballroom. Again, heard what appeared to be gunshots in the room above the ballroom. Unclear exactly who fired those shots. Unclear if they were in fact gunshots. It's just a witness said what appeared to sound like a gunshot. Again, we have no indication that any officials were hurt, but at this point, the Secret Service evacuated the president. And again, it is still a very confusing scene here on the ballroom.
So yeah, you had this incident happen yesterday, I believe, and supposedly, all right, above the ballroom, all right, there was gunshots. All right, but here it is, they can track down an Iranian general 10,000 miles away. All right, they know exactly when he coming home to eat. You see, they know exactly when he comes into the house. I think Palantir had software they were using in Hamas, and it was called Daddy's Home. Okay, where they knew exactly when particular men, okay, was coming home because Palantir, has access to so many devices, okay, that they can just get their real time, all right, tracking. Okay, they can pick up, certain patterns. The AI can learn certain patterns, and give you a prediction of what particular men are going to be. Okay, their whereabouts. All right, here it is. They can do all that. All right, but it's a nigga right above. It's a nigga on the second floor with a gat. Okay, it's a nigga on the second floor with a scrap, licking off shots, man. Okay, so it's gonna be interesting to see how they're going to spin it. And they already, hinting, all right, that Iran could have something to do with it, man. I say this nigga just tacky all over the place, man. Okay, so let's go here real quick. But like I said, and it's just a quick. Let's go here. Because like we say, man, the war gonna continue. All right. And there's just more confirmation, more military buildup, okay? Because we know this war is prophecy, man, okay? And it's going to have to escalate, and these other nations have to get involved, okay? So let's play this.
Don't take it too seriously, right? Look at what the U.S. is actually doing, not what Trump is, blithering on about on Truth Social or whatever it is. And the U.S. is just making such military preparations between the movement of the Third Carrier Group, doing the walk of shame around Africa. It's because they're so afraid of the Houthis they didn't want to go through the Bab el-Mandab Straits. But now the George H.W. Bush is in theater. And has been probably for about 12 hours now, maybe a little bit longer. The number of strike aircraft that they've moved in, the refueling aircraft in Israel and Saudi Arabia, I've seen them, lined up. The number of military transports from the U.S., Europe, and then on to the Middle East has just been nonstop. In fact, at the last count, I saw some 800 and some yesterday since the ceasefire began, right? Or it's in the run up to the initial attack on Iran back in February. So everything I see says the U.S. is gearing up for a resumption of strikes. And there is at least a strong possibility that all of this ceasefire and then extension of ceasefire, right, unilaterally, is just about playing for time while they get all of the assets that they want in location. But what are they going to do? Bomb some more? More decapitation strikes? I mean, it didn't work the first time. Why would they think it would work this time? And the U.S. is so critically low on all of these, both air defense interceptors, which I've long pointed out as the U.S.'s Achilles heel, and on standoff munitions, right, which they still need because whatever Trump may say, Iran still has air defense capacity, as we saw just prior to the ceasefire when a number of U.S. aircraft entered Iranian airspace and came tumbling out of the sky.
Yeah, man. So everything points to they starting this thing back up. It's just a thing of when. Could be days, weeks, months. Okay. But long as those straits are being choked, okay, regardless of who and what and how, as long as they're being choked, well, that works in our favor, because this nigga needs to get further ahead. Because because it's failure. You see, it's failure for Esau. So we need him to get further ahead in his failure, you know, and this energy crisis is pushing him to his failure, man, you know, with everything that he's trying to do. Okay, so let's go here. Let's get these last two. Mm-hmm. Let's go here to this is the book of Job, chapter 5, verse 12. Said he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. Okay, so Esau is not going to be able to pull off his enterprise. He's going to get so far. Okay, according to the will of the Lord. The Lord already got it set it up on how far this nigga gonna get before he intervenes. Okay, and break all this shit up, man. You know, so we need moving along with this agenda. We need him to do this, man. This is beautiful. Okay, and the Lord putting the pressure on this nigga to come with it. Okay, so you jump down to verse 13. Okay, it says he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, man, because it's a lot of things that Esau has done, you know, to set himself up for failure. You know, you just go over the years and certain things that he does, because Esau, he leaves a lot of things undone. Like once the elites get once they get their achievement, they don't clean up. They leave a mess all over the earth. Okay. You know, when they go in to cause wars and do particular things, they leave a mess. They don't clean up. They go in and get their achievement. All right. They get, you know, they get their, you know, they get their agenda done in certain areas of certain conflicts and certain events. And then they leave it a mess, you know? So this man has a mess all over the earth, man. And now it's getting to the point to where it's unbearable for the devil, man. So it says, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward carry headlong. Okay? So this devil's own counsel is beginning to overthrow him. Okay? Because the will of the Lord is working against him now. Okay? So, you know, we'll leave it there. You know, Lord will, you brothers. All right, and you sisters edified once again. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations, hopefully. Shalom.